Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. We'll have some Lost Caverns of Ixalan card spoiler discussion for this video, and we're going to sort of analyze their potential in the standard format, Pioneer, and maybe for the other playable formats here in the game. And we're going to start off with from the recently posted. Here this site is called the magicspoiler.com, and you have also these variants of the commander. But we're just going to check off first those that are legal to play in standard and pioneer and other maybe older formats. So starting off here is Starian's Journal. So this is a 2-2 cast common. That's a rare. It's a rare. I don't think it's not gold enough, but it's 1 and black legendary artifact. You can able to tap this one to sacrifice another artifact or creature and then draw a card. But the sad thing is that it's only activated as a sorcery, so sorcery speed matters here in the game. But nevertheless, it has good ability here, wherein you can pay 2, tap, discard your hand, transform journal. I think this would be beneficial in the mid game in case that you're only drawing from the card or tap decking your hand. You can just pay 2 to discard those and place it into a Tome of Akla Zots. This is the flip version. This is a legendary land cave. If you are not yet familiar with the term the subland of cave, it is not introduced here in this set. There are effects that goes with having you to control many caves as possible, and you can also check those in other card previews that's also coming in the coming days. But anyway, you have this one. It becomes a legendary land cave, the Tomb of Akla Dots. You can tap to add black, and then you may cast a creature spell from your graveyard this turn. If you do, it enters the battlefield with a finality counter on it, and it's a vampire in addition to its other types. So it's a creature with the final counter, it would die instead. So this is very beneficial, especially if you're going well with a mono black aggro deck. For instance, you can have this in a mono black aggro pioneer in standard format, wherein sacrificing your recurring creatures or artifacts can draw you a card, which is also needed as a gas. And later on, if you would able to discard your hand, you can transform this one to recast all of your creature spell from your graveyard or creatures that has died early on or have been discarded or sacrificed by this ability. So basically, this is, I think this would be a 5 out of 5 rating of a card. The only drawback here is that it is legendary, so you'd have only at least maybe 2 to 3 copies in the deck so that you would avoid the legend rule. But nevertheless, you can be able to have this one, transforming and then casting a creature spell from graveyard would be very good card advantage, especially in the mid game up to the late game. So next one, we have this one. This is translated, I think, let me check. Sunbird. It is an artifact that's colorless. This is uncommon. I could not see again the symbol, but nevertheless, we'll just describe its English translation. It is a 3-2 cast artifact that has ability to tap 1 mana of any color, and then you can craft 5 with 1 or more permanents and of cards from your graveyard. That is the craft ability for 5. It can become a Flying Vigilance Haste. I don't know it's the translation for the bird, but its power toughness are equal to the number of cards, colors among the cards exiled or craft. So that would also depend on how many colors that you would have. I think this would go if you're using decks such as the 5-color domain, or maybe for the Omnath deck in Pioneer. You can, I think, would have this one to become a copy or a card that can also maximize to add your mana of any color for a mana fix, and later on can use this one to craft for 5 to have also become a threat on its own because of the Flying Vigilance Haste creature that has also become a good attacker in this setup. And of course, you can also add mana for each color among cards exiled to craft. But still, it is just an uncommon. I think having this one 2 to 3 copies again in a typical mid-range deck. Mid-range deck because of the usage of creatures that can satisfy its craft ability that will depend the colors among those cards that are exiled to craft. So card rating, I think this would be 4 out of 5 of this card. So next up, let me just check on this. We have Matsalant, the Great Door. This is a legendary artifact, rare only. It has ability to tap, draw a card, and discard a card. Could be good for some mana hand fix or a recursion ability wherein you can discard your best creature for an Atraxa, for example. Then you may pay 4, then tap, transform, Matsalantly, and activate only if there are 4 more permanent types among cards in your graveyard. So if you are back in that permanent type, so these are the card types that are permanents. Basically, we have artifact, battle, creature, enchantment, land, and planeswalker. So if you'll be able to transform this one, you can have this ability that becomes the core, which is a legendary land, transforms from Matsalantly. It has ability Phantomless Descent. You can tap to add X mana of any one color with extra number of permanent cards in your graveyard. So it's quite a tricky card to have, but I think this would work in those decks that are basically using all kinds of permanent types of deck or list that they have. For instance, you can have this one, for example, for a big red artifacts decks, because of those decks will probably have a lot of artifacts and battles, also with creatures that are permanent types. So this can also have this one to discard those extra cards, and then you might be able to transform this one into a core. So I think the rating of this card would go with a, I would still read this as 4/5. 4 out of 5 for this one. Okay, next card. We will hasten this a bit. We'll not check this special Lost Caverns Commander. I think these are just some of our reprints are also new, but I won't really delve on those. We have Explorer's Cache. This Cache is green uncommon. It's uncommon. I thought this one is common again. Its ability that enters the battlefield with 2+1% counters. Whenever a creature you control with some counter it dies, you can put a counter on this and tap a counter from Explorer's Cache to target creature. Only activated as a sorcery. I think this would work with the deck that has the green-white counters. I think this is still standard legal archetype. You can have this one as a good attachment. Also with that of the Osolith, we have a new version for the standard Osolith deck. And the Explorer's Cache would, I think, become a good inclusion for that archetype. So I think they would have only 2 copies, so sort of a support, but can also have a good passive ability that the creature control dies with a counter on it. You can put a counter in this one and also move those counters to other relevant creature targets in your board. So card rating would still go with 4 out of 5 for playability. Okay, next you might have only 6. We have Gold Fury Strider, just a rare artifact creature uncommon. Temple, it's 3/5, tap on top artifacts and creatures you control. It gets, the creature gets +2/+0 to the turn and activated only sorcery. So I think this would just become a limited mana curve card. Standard wise, I don't really think it would see play because of its ability. That's 5 to cast and only a 3/5 ability. You can cast better creatures out of this 5 mana. So let's proceed. Skull Snap Snail. What's this? It's a 2-cast black common. Invisible field, target opponent excites a card from this hand. So this is just another variant of the discard effects creature for 2 to cast 1/1. But this time you can have them exile a card. So it is like an upgraded version for a sorting of the Ravenous Rats and those kinds of variant cards. Okay. We have then a Carrying Mine card. This is like a colorless uncommon, 3 to cast attacks, upgrade token, and crew 1. So for 3 mana, I don't think having a 3/3 but not yet be able to attack because you need to crew with this one with a creature. I don't think they would see play, but limited wise, this would be a good 3-drop, given that you would be able to curve out to your first turn creature, second turn creature, and then having this one as your turn 3 play. So creating treasure token would also benefit there, since if you're in a drafting 3 colors or 2 colors, basically you can have this extra treasure token to ramp up your board to your big spells. But standard wise, if you are just aligned to creating these tokens, maybe that of a certain archetype that would have for this one, I think Carrying Mine card would have a slot on that deck archetype. So next up, we have Mischievous Pop. This is a white creature uncommon, 3-2 cast, flash 3-1. When it enters the battlefield, return up to one other target permanent you control to its owner's hand. So some relevant targets to save from your creature would be a good target for this card. But play-wise, for constructed like standard, I don't think it would have a slot. Unless, of course, some flashy ATB decks would become a top tier archetype, then this would become one of their deck components. So standard rating, it's 3 out of 5. Next, we have Sovereign of Okinek Ahau. What's Ahau? It's Ahau. I don't know how to pronounce this. It is a legendary creature, multicolored, mythic, rare. It has this ability that it has a 3-4 with Ward 2. Whenever it attacks its creature control with power greater than its that creature's base power, put a number of some counters on that creature equal to its difference. I don't think I've read it quite well. For each creature you control with power greater than that creature's base power, put a number of counters equal to the difference. So that means that if you have a 3-3 with a person counter, for example, greater than that creature's base power, so that means you can add 1 plus some counters. I think that would help you a lot of math. So this is the showcase version, very good Aztec-ish style with that glacier grill type sword. I think this would fit again in the green-white counters deck, since those counters would literally mean that adding a creature your power greater than their base power. So if you're adding some counters, you're basically having those creatures having their power greater than their base power. That's a lot of powers we're discussing, but this I think would go for that archetype. Maybe for sword in modern, maybe for hardened scales deck, they can have also those options, but I think this would be too high to cast for that format. So back in standard, I think this would still be a good inclusion for that green-white counters deck, or the counters Oslet deck per se. So card rating is still 4 out of 5. Okay, we have then the next card. This is Threefold Thunderhawk. This ability, the 7 to cast rare artifact creature enters the battlefield with 3 plus some counters in it. Whenever enters the battlefield or attack, create a number of 1/1 colorless gnome artifact creature tokens equal to its power. So that means that if you are having this one with a 3/3, you would also create 3/1/1 colorless gnome artifact creature tokens. So you can also have this ability that pay to sacrifice another artifact, put a counter on Thunderhawk, Threefold Thunderhawk. So this would also become sort of a mid-range card, since you're creating an army of gnome artifact creature tokens and also having to add some other artifacts that are sacrificed to put up a counter on Threefold Thunderhawk. So this would mean like a Tetra Boost effect. Standard wise would fit in maybe a control deck or ramp mid-range because of its ability to 7 to cast. I'm not pretty sure how it would see play in that mid-range deck, but in control probably, since you're just looking to come up the board with these 1/1 tokens and also a 3/3 Thunderhawk, which you can also sacrifice those extra artifacts. I think this would have to go on that deck archetype that is for standard. Playability in that format is 3 out of 5 for that rating. And you can have this one, and maybe the last one would go with the Sangin Evangelist as we wrap up this first part. We call this one as Canalis Don Runner. This is a white uncommon creature, and there's a battlefield Explore. So if you're having the Explore effect, it's back again from the Ixalan mechanic, and just it come double strike. So if you are able to reveal an unland card, I mean, you can have this one as a 2/2. So it just become a 3 to cast 2/2 double strike in a card draw effect, or just having to draw a land from your top card library. So it's just going to fill out in most limited deck, but standard constructed, maybe it won't really see much play. So that's for that. And our last card to discuss in this video is the Sanguine Evangelist. This is a rare card. Again, I don't see the rarity here. It's a white creature for 3, that's 2 and white. It's a 2-1 battle cry. Whenever this creature attacks each other attack creature you control gets +1/+0 on the end of turn. When there's a battlefield or dice, create a 1/1 black creature token with flying. I think this would hit in a mono white, or maybe it's not a soldier, so it would fit in the mono white, since battle cry effect would also benefit those creatures. It's going to go with a good and a curve. Maybe a Boros, the Boros aggro deck would also have this one in the standard, and maybe in the Boros Convoke in Pioneer would also have this one, since you're basically creating 2 creatures out of 3 mana and you can use them to convoke your best creature. And of course, the battle cry effect would still matter here as an added pump to your creatures. So constructed level, I think it would give this one as a 5, and limited also a good card. And that's pretty much it for the first part of our last Caverns of Ixalan card previews and discussion. If you'd like to check on other previews here, which we'd still have to discuss in our next feature videos, you can check on magicspoiler.com for that link, and also have this more of these cards from this set will be posted in the coming days, up until that the full spoiler is out. I think in about 2 weeks maybe, or I think this would be the end of the week. Maybe by next week it will be already complete. So we'll just have another video for this discussion for its playability and other formats that we can align these card previews, in which we'd also base our future deck techs and other archetype discussions in standard, pioneer, and other formats. So I guess that's pretty much it for this video. If you like this kind of content, that's pretty much click on notify and like notifications bell on, so that we can have a more thorough discussion, and you'll be first one to know of new videos posted on this channel. So that's pretty much it for this part 1 of our Lost Caverns of Ixalan card previews discussion. Thank you for checking this video, and see you guys on the next one.